Hey y'all, Grown Black Will Talk back out on the climb, looking at a quiet spot on a windy day. You can hear the wind whipping over the trees, but had to find somewhere that didn't have a big gap. Because the wind, spring, summer winds here are pretty, they they roll out here. But you saw the title of the video. I have very strong, and I like to think reasonably researched positions on what's going on with Israel and the Palestinians and also Russia and Ukraine. I'm not here to talk about any of that because what I want to talk about is staying out of fights I'm not in as a black woman. Yes, I know we were all trained a threat to justice, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Do you even know if the person who was saying that was going hard for black women? Do you even know? Dietrich Bonhoeffer, when something happened to this group of people, I didn't say anything because I wasn't part of that group. And then there was no one left to speak for me because when it was my turn, there was no one left to speak for me. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, we gotta know all that. Dietrich Bonhoeffer actually was executed because he was involved in an assassination plot on Hitler. And even though he's held as a great important theologian, even he knew he was disqualified as that before he died because of what he chose to do. So we're out here taking advice about what we should be doing from people that we don't know what their standing is because we have not read up enough to know. What I'm going to need you to do is recognize that your life is important enough as a black woman, and if you have children, with your children, so that you do not need to be going hard for groups of people that are not going hard for you. Now, let me make this real clear to you. Step outside, walk through your community, and go back through your locale's history back about 50, 60 years. Tell me when Eastern Europeans and Arabs, because Palestinians are Arabs, go hard for black people, and then specifically black women and children. Go do this exercise. Go do this exercise. Gotta learn how to not be going so hard for people that are not going hard for us, particularly on the other side of the world. When it comes to what goes on the other side of the world, I can pray about it, but there's actually nothing I can do. There's not an election until November. So if I don't like the United States policy toward what's happening on the other side of the world, I can go express myself by voting for my president. Is Gavin Newsom up for re-election this time out? I don't think so. But at some point, I'll be able to go vote for a governor, a president, a senator, and some representatives. Okay, that's not till November. My local politics is more important because I have a whole situation to solve with our local politics right now that is affecting untold numbers of black women and children in this town. And guess who's going to have to figure out how to work this out and be able to rally the troops so that people do not have property snatched up from them? That would be me. Guess what else I'm also going to be doing this weekend? See, as black women, you have to really think to yourself, I was really grieved watching all these black women students who are out here leading all these protests and endangering their education because we talk out of different sides of our mouths. We want people to recognize our degrees. We want people to recognize the effort. We want people to recognize this gives black women opportunities to network with different groups of people that move up with the world. But then we're not going to say anything when we see our young sisters out here who are endangering their chances to get an education by being involved in a fight that's not theirs. Not me. Not as a member of the auntie age group. I'm not going to be quiet about it. No, you need to pull yourself off of being harmed for people that wouldn't go that far for you. Now, in all fairness, let me finish the thought. Jewish people have a complicated history with black people in the United States. Once upon a time, Lehman Brothers brokered cotton. One of the major Confederacy supporter was Judah P. Benjamin. I believe he was the vice president and the chief financier. But then, 100 years later, Jewish people were deeply involved in civil rights. So it's a complicated history. But again, walk outside to your locale. Think about the things that have come up for black women specifically. Where is the Jewish community on those issues? And again, it's a mixed record. It's a mixed record. So it's a little bit different than, let's say, Eastern Europeans and Arabs. A little bit different. It's a long, complicated history. But in all fairness, if people are not going as hard for you, Israelis know that they have to deal with their own problems. They're not going hard for anybody but themselves. That's for absolute certain. And again, in any group of people, they're going to be individuals. But as a mass, these people are not looking out for black women. They're not. So what are you doing? I need us to redirect our energy from these fights online and in person where we have a chance of being damaged and have our futures being damaged from people that are not coming to pick us up. And trust me, you got worse problems than you think you do. On Friday, I'm going to need y'all to roll up on Confidence with Love channel and check out your aunties. Auntie D and Auntie Love are going to be going over Project 2025 and how it's actually being in effect now, how you as a black woman with your children have been coded as the problem. And if you remember high school history at all, what happens in European dominated societies when a particular ethnic group is coded as a problem. I need you to think about that for a minute. I need you to think seriously about it. We're going to be breaking down how we can see that some of these things are already in effect right now. And what happens when the Republicans do their next takeover of government is that they're going to pull the federal government away from having stood for civil rights, more or less, for 50 years, into being actively involved in taking those rights away. If you like what you have been seeing since Donald Trump was elected, mess around and not understand that the Heritage Foundation's handbook, the conservative promise, is going to be out there if a Republican becomes president at any time in the future. So even if you get past Donald Trump, that handbook's still out there. You need to know what's in it, and you need to begin to put your energy into solving your own problems. Auntie Love says it. You matter and you are important. And why we get caught up on this stuff is because we are lost. So much so that we do not understand the value of our own human identity and keep on trying to serve other people enough so that they see it. No, if you don't see it, no one else is going to, except as chattel for them. I remember one of my first political engagements. I had 2 minutes to go destroy some foolery at City Hall. And they were so impressed, so many people were so impressed that they wanted to basically make me a mercenary for hire. Will you come and speak on this for us and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they just nakedly and open. They didn't express any concern for what we were trying to do, for what had to get done. They just wanted to harness, as Auntie Love says, my ability to put it to work for them. Absolutely zero concern. And this is how all these other groups of people routinely treat black women. And we keep running around after them, trying to impress them that we're valuable by doing all this extra stuff. Well, they already know we're valuable. It's the same thing we do sometimes with black men. They already know we're valuable. But as long as we're giving access to it and allowing ourselves to be used as chattel, they're not going to feel any obligation to reciprocate and put value back. In fact, if you are a woman, and a lot of you out here listening to this black women empowerment and all the rest, well, I'm going to need you to believe what you say you believe. Don't let anybody access you unless they bring value first, and that'll keep you out of a whole lot of fights. Because again, I want to see an Eastern European and Arab. I will say Jewish people, Goldman Sachs is out there putting out capital for black women's business. I'm going to say that. I will put that out there. But I'm going to need to see these people coming to black women and creating resources for black women and children before I see one more black woman and black child out on some protest line. At some point, you have to believe what you say you believe. If you believe black women and children are valuable, then gosh darn it, we need to act like it. Don't let people access you that are not accessing, that are not bringing value to the table. It shouldn't be always us out here trying to prove to people who we really are, and there they are just eating up the value and returning nothing. And when you decide what causes you're going to get involved in and you decide what you're going to invest in, then that's what you need to look at. It just hurts my spirit to see these young black women throwing away their education, throwing away their recommendations, and being tagged as someone who helped to break up a campus, even though it was not them doing any of the violent acts. They're going to carry that stigma. And again, we keep talking about a college degree is a way out for black women. It's important for networking. Okay, well, we need to tell our younger sisters, back up off of these fights that we're not in. And we need to tell ourselves, we have to find solutions for problems we as black women and children are going to have. And I can tell you, we're going to get Brian McKnight real quick. Black men are not coming to save us. On Friday, 150 Confidence with Love channel, we're going to talk about how we know if they wanted to, they would, because they have enough impact, enough influence to make a difference. But instead, they out there big up in Brian McKnight about how his children with the black mother are a product of sin because he has a Filipino wife and thinks nobody can tell him nothing. And that's how he got canceled. But that's the next video. But first, I need you to understand that you need to withhold your value and fight for yourself. Learn how to get solutions to your own problems. If you are in my algorithm, you are in the algorithm of True Mystique, Black Women Making Money, Confidence with Love, Mocha Mommy, Samry Bliss, Stephanie Perry, Picky Girl Travels the World, Sheeta's on the Loose, there's Lifting As We Climb, Marissa Price. All these people are giving you solutions. And then there's me, giving you solutions to the different things you're going to need to solve. Because when Project 2025 goes into effect, the federal government is only going to have you coded as the problem. You're going to be a reason that they can't have their theocratic Satan worshiping society with their image of white families having as many babies as possible to keep from being demographically overrun. You're going to be the problem, and there's already people out here. I did that video already. Writing letters to your legislatures talking about that black maternal mortality and injury is the will of God. And the federal government is not going to be backing you up. Your state governments in some places already are not backing you up. We're going to get into that Friday on Wa Aunties. I need you to back up off of fighting for everybody else and refocus your mind on making sure you and your children are straight. And of course, I mean, your situation is straight now. I'm not even going to get into that argument either. I live in San Francisco, California, no point to it. But I need you to make sure that you and your children are positioned correctly. And we aren't even talking about what's going to be happening in the economy. I have strong opinions and I have strong sympathies, and I can look at all sides of both of those conflicts and be like, okay, this is a hot mess for the average people who are involved, who did not do anything to create the foolery that they're living in. I can do that. But I have to pray for what I cannot reach and put my energy into fighting the fight I have been given to fight. And you do too, whether you know it or not. I'm just here to let you know. It's not April. Ain't no need to be a fool in the springtime. I can put the wisdom out there. It's up to you to know what to do with it. All right. Y'all have a good day now. I got to deal with Brian McKnight because that's another side of the same problem. But that's why you cannot count on these black men to come get you, since they've already coded you as the problem also. We'll get to that in a minute. Bye.